It's been a few months since I've done an at-home setup tour for you guys, and I've actually changed quite a bit since the last time I did this video, including like a new desk, a new monitor, and a bunch of even PC mods that I've actually done. So I want to give you guys a full walkthrough of the setup and what's potentially changing in the future and what is going on with it. So let's get right into it. So here is my office pretty much. It's nice and sectioned off, and I actually did this entire room in paint whenever I moved into this house. And it doesn't look too different than the last time that I filmed a video about it, but I will say some big changes that I think have changed since the last time is primarily this new desk, monitor, and then a few other things inside the PC that we're gonna kind of go over in a minute. But to start off with the actual setup tour, we're gonna be going over the PC. And surprisingly, the PC has actually had its fair share of upgrades. Visually, there actually is one thing you can kind of see here, and that is the Montech AX120 fans. Some of my favorite fans that are on the market, especially for the price, because you can get the like a 3-pack for like 30 bucks. So I added these into my system because although I do like the Fractal North, I did want to see some of my internal components in my build, and I kind of wanted to add a bit more lighting inside without making it too, bright inside. So I added these Montech X120 fans. They give a nice small glow inside the PC so you can kind of see inside there. And I'll take off the glass here for you guys real quick. And yeah, you can take a nicer look inside with that glass panel off because it is tinted, but I will say, I really do love the look of this PC. I have considered actually changing up the case, but with me doing that, I would definitely have to set up a new fan setup because these have fans pre-installed, and whatever case I'd move up to, I would definitely increase the size of it just because I have the extra real estate on my desk to do that now. I love this build. It's got a 7800 X4D. It has a 4070 Ti, and it has 32 gigs of G.Skill DDR5 RAM. It has the B650 Aorus Elite AX, and then of course it also has actually a Seagotep 850 watt power supply, low tier power supply nowadays apparently, but it has not failed me yet, and it's doing just fine. I have Asia Horse sleeve cables, although I don't have some on the GPU. And yeah, it's all inside the Fractal North. I love this build. It's nice and minimalistic, clean, and it kind of matches my wood grain on the desk, and then also my mouse pad, which is also new, but we're gonna talk about that in a minute. And then of course, the only other thing I didn't talk about in this build was the NZXT Kraken 240mm AIO, which I did also replace with more AX120 fans. So nice and simple, clean, and yeah, it does the job. And the only other thing you can't really see that's inside this PC that has been added and switched around is the storage. Now, we got another 2 terabytes of storage in this PC, which totals up to 4 terabytes of storage now. And at 2 terabytes, I was kind of hitting my limit, and I didn't really want to install a bunch of games, so I decided just to go ahead and upgrade to the extra 2 terabytes and fill up all those slots inside the PC, so we're at 4 terabytes now. So more than enough for what I'll ever need, honestly. Love it, and I have no plans of doing any major upgrades for the near future unless Haven sends out a new case for me. So next up is the monitor, and this one on the left is my Asus 24-inch 75Hz 1080p display. It has not changed ever since I started getting into PC gaming. I've had that monitor forever. And this one, although, is new. And this is my KTC 27-inch 1440p OLED display at 240 Hertz. And man, this thing is a beast. I absolutely love OLED. And this was actually a YouTube video from Toasty Bros. And I got a decent deal on it while trading in my Alienware monitor. And it's been a freaking blast to game on this thing. It's super thin. The contrast is absolutely amazing. And I made a whole video on actually if you should switch to OLED yourself and the drawbacks and pros to actually doing that. So check that out if you haven't seen it already, but this is one of my favorite upgrades I've ever done to my setup, hands down, aside from the gaming PC. But that's my second edition, and my third edition is actually one that I added in around Christmas time. I actually got it for a present. These are Sanyon just speakers. I guess they're just the tower speakers that you can pretty much get, and they connect via micro USB to USB 2, and yeah, these are really awesome just budget speakers that are around like 60, 70 bucks, and these are great whenever I'm watching a show at night and I don't want to have my headphones on and I don't want the headphone dent in my head at the end of the day. So that's a nice addition to them, and they sound pretty good. I usually keep them pretty low, so I have no issues usually with any audio issues or anything like that. So I'm a big fan of these. They come in a pair of 2, and then you can also get them in white if you wanted to. But yeah, I honestly overlooked speakers in my entire setup for quite a while for some reason until recently, and I'm glad that I finally bit the bullet and had someone pick some up for me. Otherwise I would have bought some myself. But yeah, these are a nice thing to have in your setup because not only do they look kind of cool and like minimalistic and nice, but they also add a great functionality if you're just not in the game with anyone. You want to play a single player game by yourself. Those are really awesome options to have, so you're not, just restricted to using your headphones the whole time. Next up on the peripheral train is going to be my peripherals here. nothing much has changed with these, honestly, although I think I have made a change since the last video. This is, of course, you can probably tell by the strap, the Wooting 60HE in a very interesting layout, you can see there. But the Wooting 60HE, it's in a stock case, and it does have, unlike the regular stock Leica switches, it has the Geon L50 Raw HEs, I'm pretty sure is what they call them. And they're just a nice, somewhat upgraded version from like what your stock Leica switches come with. And I'll throw a tapping test on screen here for you guys now so you hear what that sounds like. That's a quick typing test of my new keyboard with the switches. And yeah, I think it's definitely an improvement over the stock Leica switches. The 60HE is the absolute GOAT for Hall effect keyboards in terms of software and stuff, so it was a no-brainer. We had one in for review. You can probably see in a lot of these things that I've upgraded on my setup, we've had at the office, and I've had a pretty bad reason not to upgrade to them. So a lot of temptations at the office for just getting upgrades for my own setup. And that's pretty much the theme of a lot of things that I've gotten upgraded for, except for like the speakers. That's pretty much the only thing that I really went out of my way to get. And attached to that keyboard is, of course, a new wooden wrist rest. I feel like to match the aesthetic of my desk that I bought, and then, of course, the case itself from the Fractal North, I had to get a wood wrist rest. And honestly, I think I just had like a black one for a while beforehand, and from Glorious, and it was TKL, and I switched to 60% keyboards. So I had to get a smaller wrist rest, and this one's like 15, 20 bucks from Amazon. Definitely worth the upgrade, and I love how close it actually matches my desk. So next up after that is gonna be my Logitech G Pro Superlight 2, and I do wanna replace the Skates eventually, but the Superlight 2 is a fantastic mouse. Although I do wish it was slightly lighter, and I may end up wanting to switch and try out other mice in the future, because it is kind of smooth, and I have been using it for a little over a year and a half now, and I think I might be ready for maybe just something new and fun, because yeah, it's a great mouse, but I kind of want to try some other things, because I've seen a lot of smaller company mice that are a little lighter that I would like to try. But that is pretty much never going to be leaving my my collection. It has been it's been a $50 Superlight 2 that's been perfect, so cannot complain about that at all. Next up is the mouse pad, and this is probably the next thing I will be upgrading in my setup. It is still the Fanatic Dash XXL, if I'm correct, and it's this oversized mouse pad, and it has done me very well over the years, but it is definitely worn down, and I'm really glad that you can't see all the wear and use on camera, because it has definitely seen some better days. But again, it's a mouse pad, it does its job. I probably do want to upgrade down the road though. I just have yet to do that. Circling actually back around while we're still in peripherals, I have my coiled cable from Glorious. This is just a black coiled cable. This is a great touch for any gamer setup if you want if you have a wide keyboard and you want to add a nice little touch to your setup. This is a nice little touch, and I'm always going to have a coiled cable on any of my keyboards. And of course, to wrap up the peripherals, we have my headphones, and these are some used Philips X2 HRs, and these have been a huge upgrade from the other headphones I used to use before these. And yeah, they definitely have the issue that a lot of them have, where this piece over here kind of just like breaks off, so they kind of float around whenever I'm not using them, but they are pretty solid, and I have no complaints with them. So we're gonna keep using those until they stop working. And since these headphones use a typical auxiliary port to connect to the PC, I actually attached this boom arm mic, so I can actually have a mic attached to these headphones, because they don't normally come with a microphone attached. So that's a nice quick little mod, and I'm very happy with the sound quality of that too. So not a bad little setup there, but that's gonna wrap up the peripherals of my setup. The desk that we have here, of course, you can probably notice, is the IKEA Special, if you want to call it that. This is the IKEA Alex drawers with the Carlby tabletop, if I'm correct. And this is like the walnut brown finish, and I think this is like the 6-foot version. They do make larger desk options, but measuring out in my room, I really don't think most people need any more than what is on this desk here, unless you're going with like even more monitors than mine, and you really just want to max out the room, because I could go an extra foot, but I would lose out on my handy dandy cable management area down here, which I definitely use. There's tons of cables in that box over there to make it a lot easier for me. But quick little cable management check. It's looking pretty good down there, and it's all I really care about is not being able to see mostly everything from underneath. Although it's not really part of my gaming setup, this is pretty much just my accessory shelf, and you have a couple Funko Pops, you have an Among Us, you have some Initial D license plate there. I have my Starfield Edition Ryzen 7 7800X 3D box right there that we picked up from Toasty Bros. and a bunch of other cool little Polaroids and plants and stuff like that. And that's pretty much gonna wrap up everything except for my chair, which is the Secretlab Omega. And this is one I've had for many, many years. I think I bought it back in like, I wanna say 2020 maybe. And it's been a long time with this chair. It has seen, of course, like I said with other things, better days, but it has been a pretty good chair. I did throw away the headrest and the lumbar support because at the time I didn't like how they felt. And now I regret that, being in my mid-20s. So I might end up switching one day, but I just don't have enough of a care to switch, although it may be a nice upgrade down the road. And as far as accessories in the room in terms of lighting, because I personally think lighting is part of a gaming setup, lighting makes a huge difference in the ambiance and just vibe of the room, and this is the Nanoleaf lines. And I think these are some of the coolest lights you can add into a gaming room, and they're super easily controlled with phone controls or even onboard controls, which you can see right here. You can change brightness, you can change the color effect if you really wanted to, which I might have to go back into the app now and switch that. I actually have this on like a specific setting on my phone, so it won't change through the effects right now, but I will say it is very easy to use, and it's a quick, easy turn on with that little button there with the onboard controls. And I think it's a nice complementary lighting setup, and I have it set pretty low in terms of the brightness because it can get very, very bright. But aside from the Philips Hue light strip that is back on my setup back there, that is pretty much gonna wrap up my entire video on my 2025 setup update. Although I haven't done too many upgrades, I think the upgrades that I have done, including the desk and the monitor and a couple of those other small things, have really made a pretty big impact on how I like my setup and how much I use it. If you do need help finding anything from my setup, or you have any questions about it, drop them down in the comments below, but we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.